Tufanye jambo gani ili tujizuie?
Right, it happens to be on a Thursday, the 10th of March 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome so much to Good Morning Boss. That is the program. And of course, this is Boss TV as we are coming to you live from Boss TV headquarters. This is where we broadcast our staff. And talking about our staff, we'll be telling you what is making headline in just a bit, looking at the dailies, what are we waking up to into the news, what is happening on the current affairs. So much is happening, and of course that is what we'll be dealing with on the first segment of the show. And secondly, we'll be getting into a morning discussion. Being on a Thursday, it's all about matters of business and matters to do with the economy of the country. And today we have two topics to talk about. First and foremost, we'll be looking at Russia and Ukraine war, its aftermath on the economy of Kenya. Now remember, this comes about after we've witnessed an increase in fuel prices, and of course so much has been said in relation to also cooking gas having to gone up as a result of the fights that we are witnessing in the Russia and Ukraine. And we'll be internalizing what does it mean to the economy of the country, and how do we get to solve this kind of a war that may not have a very big impact into the economy. That is what we'll be speaking to together with my first guest here in studio. That is Mr. Abubakar Juma, who is a business lecturer as well as a business professional. He'll be joining me in studio to talk more concerning the Russia-Ukraine war in relation to the cost of living here in Kenya. What is the relationship between the war there and the economy of our country, and what are we likely to do in terms of making sure that we do not feel that heat and we do not feel the effect. That is what we'll be talking once I'm done by looking at what is making headline. Then secondly, we'll be also looking at another interesting topic here that pertains to improvement of SMEs in the country. Now, yes, it's why one of so many Kenyans being involved into, there is a small, medium scale enterprises, and today we'll be tackling a topic that pertains to the improvement of the productivity of SMEs in the country, some of the few challenges that are being faced by the SMEs, and what needs to be done to solve the problem so as we can improve on the SMEs. That is another topic that I'll be engaging Mr. Franklin Gitau, who is also one individual who understands more concerning business, and he'll be joining me in studio to talk more concerning that. And of course, he comes from the organization by the name Somo Africa, and Somo Africa is new here in Mombasa. We'll be speaking about what it does and how it plays a key role in improvement of SMEs. That is one of a kind of a conversation that you don't want to miss. So today, we are killing two birds with one stone, talking about matters to do with the cost of living in relation to the Russia and Ukraine war. And secondly, we'll be discussing about improvement of the SMEs in the country. Start talking to us. The number is below your screen. We'd love so much to engage you, and would love also to hear from you. What do you think about our topic of discussion? Two in particular. You'll choose whichever you want to comment about. And of course, you can share them on our WhatsApp number, as well as you can follow us on Facebook. I do believe we are up and running on Facebook, and we will be looking at that and looking at some of your comments as we get along with the show this morning. And my name is SHADRACK OGEGA, and my sign language interpreter is Felix Otieno, and this is what we are doing here, and we are set to be doing, updating you on all informative content. Now, let's get straight into looking at what is making headline. And I want to begin from the Daily Nation. If my director can put that up for you to see. Quite interesting articles and news given out on the front page of the Daily Nation. And we started off from the Beast of Forest Road. There has been a manhunt that has been launched, and police say suspect escaped via a sewer duct in Mukuru, Kwayaba. And this is the gentleman who is being sought by police to be the mastermind behind the Forest Road incident that, of course, had sparked a lot of uproar, specific after we saw that video circulating on social media showing a woman motorist being assaulted by a group of around 16 border operators. And of course, the other 16 were, quite a number of them have been arraigned in court and released on cash bail of 25,000 each. But this gentleman who is on the run, Zachary Nyoga Obadia, is one of the border operator who has been identified by police as the mastermind of a gang that sexually harassed the Zimbabwean diplomat, leading to a nationwide crackdown on the sector. And of course, this is the gentleman. There's a picture of him there. You can check it out on the page one of the Daily Nation. But also remember, I'll be playing you a clip of whatever is happening in the country in relation to the border operators crackdown that began yesterday. And we saw that is Dr. Fred Matiang'i, who is the Interior Cabinet Secretary, meeting matatu operators and border operators and their chairpersons in Nairobi, speaking about issues on the new guidelines that are supposed to be in line with the operations. I'll be playing that clip for you, but I want to take you straight to page one of the Daily Nation. Still on the front page of the Daily Nation, there is a below picture. Mnangagwa comes calling. This is the Zimbabwean president, President Mnangagwa, who is in Nairobi for a 3-day visit, official state visit, and he was hosted by President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House in Nairobi. And the duo signed a couple of deals that will improve the bilateral trade between the two nations. And also what was drawn out from yesterday's meeting by President Uhuru Kenyatta is that he is going to push for the ending of the illegal sanction imposed on Zimbabwe in 2003 in relation to how the European nations, the United States and Britain, had to see, like, to some extent, Zimbabwean country was headed into a wrong direction under the stewardship of the then President Robert Mugabe. I want to play for you a clip on how things happened yesterday at State House Nairobi to see how President Mnangagwa was received at State House together with President Uhuru Kenyatta, and some of the few things that had happened in relation also to the signing of the bilateral agreements. Take a look. Right, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta together with Zimbabwean President Mnangagwa Emmerson in the State House, Nairobi. And of course, they were speaking in relation to some of the bilateral agreements that they will be signing that will improve the trade between the two countries, and also pushing for the ending of the sanctions. That is one of the few stories that is also developing and on the Daily Nation this morning. But first, let's continue looking at what is making headline, and I want to take you straight to page 1 of the Daily Nation pertaining to the border crackdown that is ongoing in the country. And yesterday we saw the Interior Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, has announced the re-registration of all of border riders from the 21st of this month. And he was speaking with the border chairpersons in a meeting attended by ICT CS Joe Mosheru, as well as his transport counterpart James Macharia. And CS Matiang'i said that this registration will proceed for the next 2 months, where new strategies will be put in place to remove hooliganism from the industry. And of course, this is a story that we did yesterday, and let's take a look at whatever Mr. Matiang'i said in response to bringing sanity inside the border sector.
Now have 60 days to re-register their motorcycles, after which they will obtain a business license. The registration, which is expected to run for 2 months, will kick off from the 21st of this month and will take place at government service centers across the country.
Every border rider should be licensed. We now want to insist that within the period of registration, because we will open the books on 21st of March, and we will do this exercise for 60 days consistently. Within those 60 days, please make sure you have a smart rider's license. Smart rider's license. And in that process, when you are getting that smart rider's license, we will also make sure that you belong to a SACCO.
Speaking at a meeting with the border officials, Dr. Fred Matiang'i has said President Uhuru had ordered the deduction of 5,800 Kenyan shillings from the registration fee.
Border are licensed. And I know, let's be frank, tumekuwa tukisema unajua pesa ya kulipa licenses hii 5,800 ni mingi. Today, the news I want to give you is this. His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta has waived all that fees. You will be registered for free. So, hakuna maneno ya 5,800. Njausi unasikia? Unio mtu wa NTSA yako hapa, hakuna kuitisha 5,800. President amesema free registration.
On his part, the leader of the border riders has apologized for the brutal act committed by some border riders on Friday on Wangari Maathai Road.
Omba msamaha kwa rais. Waziri aenda tuombe msamaha. Na mmekubali watu watabadilika. Na nyinyi kama viongozi mtahakikisha wale watu wote wabaya wako ndani yetu wametolewa. Mtu akikataa ni kushtakiwa kwa polisi. Because you have the powers. The IG is here and he is ready to work with us. Kama hangekuwa nataka kutusaidia hangekuwa hapa. Waziri kama hangetaka kusaidia hangekuwa hapa. But they are here with us to understand and remove the problems zenye natusumbua, because most of us know what.
In addition, Matiang'i has instructed governors to hold meetings with leaders from the sector every month to find out their problems, saying that the sector is widely used by politicians and urge them to avoid such acts.
Effective now, I would like the Regional Commissioner for Nairobi, Mr. Thuku, who is here. I want you, on a monthly basis, get the county officials of border. Unakuwa na mkutano now. They give you their challenges, everything, every month. Unawaita. By the time you leave here today, you should have all their numbers, you know them, you sit down with them. If they have any issues, the chairman of the border association in Nairobi should be able to call you. If there is a problem. Munaongea na yeye. And this thing is cascaded across the country. In OGEGA, you tell all regional commissioners and county commissioners. Every regional commissioner, if you finish your election structures and so on to the ground, every regional commissioner must know who is their regional chairperson of border. Every county commissioner must know who is their county border chairperson. They must talk to them and hold meetings with them on a monthly basis. It's a strange political phenomenon that I'm not able to understand. And we are driving our country down the drain. Sisi wenyewe. Where people go, they bribe these border riders around.
Reporting for Boss TV,
Right, that is what is happening on the crackdown of border operators that will be taking up 2 weeks and includes re-registration and looking into matters about the border industry. We will wait and see. And today also the same CS, that is Dr. Fred Matiang'i, is expected here in Mombasa to have a discussion surrounding the same on issues about border operators. Now, shifting gears, still looking at the front page of the Daily Nation. KCP results to be out in 2 weeks, Magoha says. And of course, marking began on Monday with only 3 cheating cases reported in tests. And that is what is happening on the back page of the Daily Nation. And it looks into how the KCP candidates finished their exams and how the marking process is set to begin, and also KCP results expected out in the next 2 weeks. Okay, and to some bit of politics. It's a make or break talks for Kalonzo Musyoka to have joining Azimio, and also the KANU chairperson, Gideon Moi, has threatened to leave One Kenya Alliance and join Azimio la Umoja if there seems to be any sort of an understanding between the Wiper Party and the One Kenya Alliance in relation also to how they are supposed to craft their way towards the 2022 general election. And that is what is on page 4 of the Daily Nation this morning. Now, I want to go straight looking at what is making headline inside the Star newspaper before we look at the last newspaper here, that is the Taifa Leo. And on the front page of the Star newspaper, if my director can put that up for you to see what it looks like this morning. 3 pictures that you find there. One includes that of an aspirant seeking to become the next LSK president. On page 2, it's all set for LSK polls as Kamende pledges break from Nelson Harvey, and that is what is on page 2. Remember also over last week, we saw a series of interviews and the vetting of some of these people who are seeking to become officials within the Law Society of Kenya, and that was proceedings. Those were proceedings from the Mombasa County Assembly. That is what is happening also on page 2. But it's all system go for the LSK polls, as reported by the Star this morning. And on the front page, the biggest story: Raila says no joint primaries for Azimio parties. And we are told that the ODM leader tells supporters to elect Azimio candidates, and there will be any sort of joint primaries within the Azimio parties. And over 15 outfits backing former Prime Minister to face off inside primaries. So that is what is happening on page 4 and 5 of the Star this morning. And also below there, pictures of hundreds of motorbike seized in a crackdown, and the crackdown began yesterday in Nairobi, and it will be extended all the way to Mombasa. And that is also an interesting matter on page 4 and over the page 2 rather, over the Star newspaper. And last but not least, beautiful picture there of President Uhuru Kenyatta together with Zimbabwean President Emerson Mnangagwa, who is in the country for a 3-day state visit. And lift sanctions against Zimbabwe, Uhuru tells international community. That is what is on page 7 of the Star. Now, I want to go straight looking at a very interesting story that we covered yesterday in relation to health workers in Mombasa County who are now demanding that Governor Joho should be held accountable for paying their 2 months' salary before returning to work, while denouncing the county's action of threatening medical profession studying abroad. And of course, this comes at a time at which also there has been a debate in relation to how county governments are looking into how they solve disputes with its workers. And this is a story by Brenda Okello, who want and trail on how the health workers have continued with their strike, and how Governor Joho and the county government leadership is trying to respond to some of the allegations being made by the health workers in Mombasa. Let's listen in.
The strike, which has entered its third day today, has been marked by a 2-month delay in the salaries of health workers in Mombasa County.
Hatujaweza kuwa na solution yoyote, lakini sisi tunachodai tumesema vizuri, tunadai mshahara. Hatutaki mapendeleo yoyote, hatutaki favor. Lakini cha ajabu ni kwamba mwajiri wetu badala ya kusikia kilio chetu, badala ya kutuleta katika meza ya majadiliano, na kwa mishahara hatutaweza kujadiliana kwa sababu tutajadiliana nini ama tutajadiliana mishahara ipunguzwe? Kwa sasa hivi tunahitaji mishahara yetu ilipwe 100% na remittances zote zifanywe 100%.
The health workers have also urged Mombasa County administration to stop threatening foreign trained health workers since they are a benefit to the county.
Tunaona katika mitandao na mambo mengi vitisho ambavyo serikali ya jimbo la Mombasa imetoa vitisho kwa wenzetu ambao wameenda kusoma kule nje, imetoa vitisho pia kuweza kufuta watu hapa ambao wameajiriwa. Therefore wale ambao wameenda kusoma madaktari kule nje hawajaenda kusoma masomo yao, wameenda kusoma waweze kutumikia jimbo la Mombasa. Na kwa hivyo tunapoona mwajiri akitoa vitisho ya kwamba atawarudisha, ya kwamba atawafuta kazi, na wale walikoenda kule kusoma wameenda kusoma kwa ajili ya manufaa ya jimbo la Mombasa. Kwa hivyo tungesema mwajiri atuache kututisha. Vitisho tunavyohitaji ni vitisho vya akaunti za benki.
Nurses also urged residents of Mombasa County to seek medical treatment in the neighboring counties, and they should stop insulting health workers.
And us, we belong to the public, and we know that our people are also suffering, but we encourage the general public that you can seek the services in Kilifi County. They are not on strike. Kwale County, they are not on strike. And we also appeal to the public not to view us on the wrong side, but we are also human beings. We also depend on the salaries, we also depend on these loans to survive. We appeal to them to talk to their leaders that they elected, the MCAs, the MPs, the governor, to break this stalemate so that we can resume our work. We still appeal that the general public to bear with us and also to join us as they speak to their leaders whom they elected, to also break this stalemate and we can get back to work.
They have also warned other units that still provide care to patients despite the ongoing strike.
Kasoro zile tunaweza kusema zile ambazo ni critical. Kuna kama ICU bado inaendelea, alafu tuko na kliniki kama ile ya wagonjwa wenye virusi vya ukimwi, na pia tuko na kliniki zile za wagonjwa wa TB kwa under contract basis, ndio ambao wanaendelea, na casuals ndio ambao wanaendelea kupeana zile services ambazo haziwezi kukaa bila kutekelezwa.
Reporting for Boss TV, Amokelo Brenda.
Tunataka nini? Tunataka pesa. Pesa iko wapi?
Right, that is health workers in Mombasa continuing with their strike. And of course, it's a story that we'll be following up for you on that matter. But thank you so much, Brenda Okello, for that report. Now, allow me to look at the last newspaper here before we get into our discussion. And on the front page of the Taifa Leo, this is the Swahili newspaper that we're having in the country. And on the front page of the Taifa Leo, if my director can put that up for you to see, maficho ya wahuni, boda ndio maficho ya wahuni, kilicho nakiliwa hapo kwenye ukurasa mbele, na tunaona jinsi hali halisi ya uendeshaji bodaboda pale ilivyo kwenye picha hizo. Na unaambiwa kwamba siku chache baada ya kisa ambapo mwanamke alishambuliwa na kudhulumiwa kingono na waendeshaji bodaboda jijini Nairobi, Wakenya mbalimbali wamejitokeza kusimulia masaibu yao mikononi mwa wagenge ya bodaboda. Wamewahi kumshambulia aliyekuwa mkuu wa majeshi Jenerali mstaafu Julius Karangi na pia afisa mkuu wa polisi King'ori Mwangi, na hivyo ilipelekea sasa kuanza kwa kudhibiti sekta hiyo, kwanza kwa msururu wa jinsi ya kudhibiti sekta hiyo, na ni jambo ambalo waziri wa usalama wa ndani Daktari Fred Matiang'i amelivalia njuga, na ni katika ukurasa huo wa kwanza na imeendelezwa katika ukurasa wa pili. Pale juu tunaeleza sababu za Mudavadi kumuunga mkono Ruto. Huyu ni mbunge adai kinara wa ANC alikosa fedha za kuendesha kampeni ya urais, na hivyo basi lazimu aweze kujiunga na naibu rais William Ruto. Ndizo sababu walizozitoa katika ukurasa wa 3. Na katika ukurasa wa 5, Wanjigi apata makao mapya katika chama cha Safina baada ya kuhama chama cha ODM. ambacho amekuwepo tangia mwaka 2013 na 17, na ni jambo la kuona kwamba alihamia chama hicho kufuatia utofauti wake na baadhi ya viongozi, haswa pia kiongozi wa chama hicho Raila Odinga. Utakumbuka pia mfanyabiashara huyo ambaye pia amejitosa siasani analenga kutaka kuwa rais, na alikuwa anashikilia msimamo kwamba angependa kuwania urais kupitia chama cha ODM, lakini kutufikia sasa ni kana kwamba hilo halitowezekana kufuatia hatua yake ya kukihama chama cha ODM na kujiunga rasmi na chama cha Safina. Taarifa hiyo katika ukurasa wa 5 wa Taifa Leo ndio inanipeleka mimi kwenye pumziko langu la kwanza. Kumbuka nitakapokuwa narejea itakuwa naingia rasmi kwenye sehemu ya pili ya mazungumzo yetu, ambao tutakuwa tunazungumzia kuhusiana na masuala yanayofungamana na biashara ndogo ndogo pamoja pia na hali halisi ya kiuchumi kutokana na vita vinavyoshuhudiwa kule katika nchi ya Urusi pamoja na nchi ya Ukraine. Usende mbali.